Good morning. So today is the concrete pour day. It is bigger than the watershed and the power shed combined, but at least we don't have to... Is there a benefit to today? I thought there was going to be a benefit. There's no benefit. It's going to be exhausting. We did make that chute, so we're hoping that that works. We're also going to take off that gate. Pointing behind me is hard. We're going to also take off that gate, hopefully, so that he can reverse alongside the platform and kind of dump a bit in 3 or 4 sections, which would significantly help us raking out the rest. But if his truck won't go on that because it is on a bit of a slope, then just the chute. But I think the weather so far is pretty perfect because it's not beaming down sun, but it's not raining. So I'm very grateful for this weather. He should be here anytime now. It's 7:30 in the morning and he'll be here by 8. So we're just making sure everything is ready. So far, it's going really well because we were clearing in next to the fence and there were stinging nettles. So I reached down to grab some, and as I grabbed them, it hit me in the neck. So now I've got stinging nettle on my neck. And then I went to help move a rock within. And again, I went to grab some more stinging nettles, but I was more careful this time. But Dan tried to put down his stinging nettles with his foot, and they flung and hit me right in the face. So now my entire face and neck are on fire, and yeah. So there we go. There is our third base. And this one's for our tool barn. And I'm pretty proud of it. It was difficult, and that they poured it straight from the truck, so it came out a lot quicker. And so we were trying to work with that before it overflowed. We ordered 5% more than we'd estimated, and I'm glad we did because we brought it just to the edges with no leftovers. Yeah. There's Dan's makeshift tamper, which I'm more proud of than he is, but I think he did a good job. And we're just going to let it set a little bit and then take an edging tool around just to take the sharpness off the corners. Really, really pleased with that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Everything Needs to Be Done, What Gets Done Next. So, we have ordered some downpipe stuff for the guttering on the power shed so that we can set up an irrigation system for our vegetables because we're going to be gone for a lot of next week for some personal things, and we don't want all of our vegetables to die. So we're gonna have to go into town to pick up the guttering. The car is too small to pick up the bits, so we're going to sort out the van and drive it back into town, which is annoying because if we'd planned it, we were actually in town yesterday. It's probably gonna rain the entire time we're away, and it won't have even mattered, but if I don't put this in place, then I bet it will be scorching hot and everything will die. So it needs to be weeded a bit, but this is our first year's attempt. Our plan is to take this and build a walk-in enclosure so that we don't have to lift the netting off every time we want to weed or pick some vegetables. We think we're going to put a door here and then always have the center clear to walk through, or at least that we can step over the vegetables. So we have some strawberries in there, which the slugs absolutely love. You're welcome, slugs. We have some cauliflower I started off in this seed tray, which I've moved into here but haven't planted yet. And yes, there's slug pellets. No, I don't want to use them, but our vegetables were getting absolutely annihilated and we needed a quick fix for now, but we would like to have non-slug pellet options put in place as soon as possible. So it's not our permanent solution. But we have some carrots and they're finally showing. So we read different ways about thinning them. Some people just leave them and pick them as little carrots, and some people thin them out now, and not really sure which way we're going to do it, but they're currently being ignored. So that's the method that we're doing. Lots of kale, which I'm really pleased about. It's growing really, really well. Lots of kale. We generally pick out about 4 leaves, whichever 4 look the most ready, and then just leave the plant to keep growing. And then we've got our potatoes. And so they're starting to flower. And these are Maris Piper. So I think it's like an early main crop or something. Yeah, those are them. And then we have some courgettes, and they're coming along. We have some sort of squash down here. There's one, he's cute. And then there's another courgette plant there and pumpkin, and they're way too close together, but we ran out of decent dirt and space, and I was at the farmer's market and saw the plants and really wanted them. So they're gonna have to learn to live together. So those are our main vegetables for this year, and I don't really want them to die. And you're working on your solar panels?
Yes, state-of-the-art solar panel mounting system, aka let's put it on the ground until we have more time later, has been excellent so far. As you can see, the grass has grown, and now the morning sun is shading them, so they're not being anywhere near as efficient as they could be. So just weeding the solar panels like a normal person would.
Maybe I'll give you a little update on the apple trees as well. We've strum, that's not how you say that, strimmed. We've strimmed this path so that we can actually get to the apple trees, because the wheat stuff, is it called like Yorkshire fog or something? So we can actually get to it without, usually this stuff is damp in the morning, so yeah, just making it easier to get to check the apple trees. Here's our first guy. He's I think it's called like Worcester pearmain. We tried to get 3 different trees. We just wanted to A/B test some apples. So let's see, I only left 1 apple on them. He does have a little bit of blemishes on him, but we just let 1 grow this year so that he mostly focuses on roots. And then over to this one, which is James Grieve. Yeah, little marker. There he is. And this guy, because I couldn't bring myself to take both off. We took quite a few off, but he has two. The shading is terrible, sorry. So there's one. He's got a couple blemishes down him, but I was worried about taking both off because I feel like a little squirrel's gonna sneak up and steal one and then I won't have any. But this guy is perfect. Look at him. So we've got two growing on this tree, but we're limiting it so that he can spend most of his energy on roots. And then we have one more, and this is a Spartan, and he's grown the tallest. And where is his apple? Oh no. Oh, there it is. So he has a gorgeous apple there. Look at that. That's gonna be tasty. I bet some squirrel comes and steals him. But yeah, so for size, that's how big he is now. But we just left the one on this tree. I did manage to cut off a fair few of little baby apples, even though it was painful to do. But for the health of the tree, okay. So the plan is I was gonna see how well these grew, made sure they liked the soil, and then we'd like to back up but not into a tree. There we go. So the point is, we wanted both of them on both sides. Picture it kind of like if you were to walk through the middle eventually of fully established apple trees. We wanted both sides to be able to grow as big as they want to while staying healthy, so their canopies won't be restricted by each other and the sun won't get filtered out completely. But we'd like to put a few more apple trees, or maybe pear trees and cherry trees, following along these two rows here, and then we'll be able to just like walk down the center with a path underneath the fruit trees, and I think that would be pretty cool. All right, back to getting some actual work done. All right, next task is those IBCs, those big white containers are going to, well, one for now, is going to be used as our water butt next to that shed, so that eventually we can put an irrigation system down towards our veg plot, which is just over there. So I'm going to get the strimmer and I'm going to strim a path about digger width all the way up to there, which is good anyways so that we can access it. And that may or may not be a task that I give up on if I start feeling like it's fruitless or I get bored.
So we've got the water filling up the tank, and now we're going to try and see if we can attach this hose adapter to it. See what we've got. Oh, there's PTFE tape, which we might need, but we'll see. So it looks like we've got a cap and a hose adapter. First time I've seen any of this stuff, so forgive the lack of professionalism. Just go to here. Nice and tight. Right, so should we try opening this? Step one.
It leaks.
It leaks. Let's try this again. No, it leaks.
Still leaks. Okay, we'll be back.
So I had to call in the big guns we put a load of BTFE tape on and turned it as tight as it would go, and whilst the handle still being usable, which is 90 degrees to where a normal tap would be. But now let's give this a turn on.
No leaks.
No leaks. And then we use this, which I've got complete faith is not going to break ever. And we get some water.
Ta-da!
So now we can pop the hose on.
We're going to put the soaker hoses out. These things fill up with water and then just slowly let the water come out along the length of them so you can just trail them in your veg bed. What do we get delivered, Dan?
I don't know, what's in this box?
Wow, the back of a freezer. Okay, so we've got a new tripod and I set it up the best I can over there, but I don't know how much you're going to see because Dan's going to be here and he's going to put a light up, and then I'm going to be trying to work here and putting the light switch on the wall. So I'm not sure what you'll see, but I've put it on record and we'll see what happens. All right, this is where we've got to so far. Dan's put the light up, and then we've just finished wiring in from the end there, and we've tacked it down the side, and then it goes along the wall and then into where the light switch is going to be. And so this is the power to the light switch, and then this is the power to the consumer unit, and so it goes all the way through, all the way up, and then that's this guy here. So we've got the live and the neutral, and then number 8's it's earth. So now we're going to take the light switch plate and get this wired up. Here's the light switch, and we've wired it up. So we've got the neutrals going together and the earth cables going together, and then the live going in the back. We have the feed from the consumer unit coming in the top in the COM, and then there's line 1 at the bottom.
So we're all ready to go. Let's see if this works. Yeah!
Hey! I'm a bit surprised, but I'm very pleased. We've got light in the shed.
We have light. Very exciting.